Pull up that easy chair and sit right down for the best music in your town.
Here on Way Back with Johnny. Now don't turn that dial. The program's about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, here in Muskogee, Oklahoma, I'd like to introduce to you a man that has dedicated his life to country music. Make welcome, if you will, the one and only Merle Haggard.
We don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. We don't take our trips on LSD. Head up and be proud of who I am. But they won't let my secret go. And on every road there's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home.
Morning, friends and listeners, Way Back with Johnny. This here's your old host with most country western music, Johnny Woodlock. And for the next 3 hours, I'd like to invite y'all in to this, the first Sunday in April, as we pay tribute to the hag of country music, as he was always known, the mighty Merle Haggard. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this trip down memory lane as Merle sings us back home. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
Sing me back home with a song I used to hear. In my next life, I want to be your hero. Something better than I turned out to be.
I blew down in the river, but the old Kern River's dry.
His rocky road to stardom took him from a boxcar to the Hall of Fame, with stops at the Big House and the White House. And he did it all without compromise.
Hello, friends and listeners. This here is your old host with most country western music, Johnny Woodlock. And before we start today's show, I would like to dedicate this program, before we begin the show today, to many fans of Merle Haggard, as well as to my beloved Mama Dawn, who has always tried. And Mama, you're still trying to this day, and we love you very much. And also to my late father, Papa Willoughby, who was the inspiration for my roots running deep. With that, I'd also like to dedicate it to my stepfather, Big Daddy Al, who is a good friend of mine and a true father figure to me. With that, let's pay tribute to the mighty Merle Haggard on today's program. With this will also be in dedication to the memory of Merle Ronald Haggard, born April 6, 1937, sadly passing away April 6, 2016.
I left the 4-lane highway, took a blacktop 7 miles, down by the old country school I went to as a child. 3 miles down a gravel road I could see a proud old home, a tribute to a way of life that's almost come and gone. The roots of my raising run deep. I've come back for the strength that I need, and hope comes no matter how far down I sink. The roots of my raising run deep. I pulled up in the driveway, oh, it sure was good to be there. And through the open door I could see that Dad was asleep in his favorite chair. In his hand was a picture of Mom, and I remembered how close they were. So I just turned away, didn't want to wake him and spoil his dreams of her. A Christian mom who had the strength for life the way she did, then to pull that apron off and do the Charleston for us kids. Dad, a quiet man whose gentle voice was seldom heard, who could borrow money at the bank simply on his word. The roots of my raising run deep. come back for the strength that I need. And hope comes no matter how far down I sink. The roots of my raisin run deep. The roots of my raisin run deep.
I have missed my father many times.
My dad worked 10 hours a day. He'd work those kind of hours, and then he'd come home and have his evening meal. And he'd say, "Mom, you sit down, let me do the dishes," you know. And I thought, since I've been alive, I don't ever remember seeing a man do that for his wife. That's the kind of guy he was.
Good morning, friends and listeners. Way Back with Johnny. I'm your host with the most country western music and bluegrass music, Johnny Woodlock. I'd like to invite y'all into the next program of Way Back with Johnny here at the Woodlock Ranch and Studios station in Cornwall, Ontario, where this program is recorded weekly. Also, we are coming to you via CFRC 1019 FM, www.osharocks.com, and also all points in between, including your smart speakers like Alexa. With that mentioned, I would like to invite y'all into the next 3 hours here today as we celebrate the music and memories of one of the most influential icons in all country music history. With that being the man who we know today as the mighty hag of country music, yes, Merle Haggard. Now, Merle was born April 6, 1937 in Oildale, California, and led quite the life before he turned 21. When he sang he turned 21 in prison, well, that was not a lie. He was pardoned by the late President Ronald Reagan on March 14, 1972. Today is remembered for such classics as Okie from Muskogee, Mama Tried, The Fugitive, and so many more. And also his many prison-inspired songs as well. With that, I would like to honor him today and invite y'all to this tribute to a true country music hero. I would also like to mention that Merle Haggard ironically passed away on his birthday, April 6th of 2016. Just weeks before I was to join the program here and start this program. With that mentioned, it has always been an interest of mine to do a proper 3-hour tribute to the mighty hag of country music. With that, this show has been long in the making and a long time dream of mine. Now, as mentioned, he also passed away this date, April 6, 2016, and he was all of 79 years of age. With that, I would like to open up today's program with none other than another dear friend of Merle's, George Jones, and a song simply titled Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes. Then we'll follow with another classic by Merle Haggard himself and one of his most iconic songs of all his career. That, of course, was Okie from Muskogee. With that, I would like to say good day to everybody listening in on CFRC 1019 FM and also www.osharocks.com. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
You know, this old world is full of singers, but just a few are chosen to tear your heart out when they sing. Imagine life without them. All your radio heroes, like the outlaw that walks through Jesse's dreams. No, there'll never be another red-headed stranger, a man in black and Folsom prison blue. The Okie from Muskogee, or Hello Darling. Lord, I wonder who's gonna fill their shoes. Who's gonna fill their shoes? Who's gonna stand that tall? Who's gonna play the Opry and the Wabash Cannonball? Who's gonna give their heart and soul to get to me and you? Lord, I wonder who's gonna fill their shoes. God bless the boys from Memphis, blue suede shoes and Elvis. Much too soon he left this world in tears. They tore up the 50s, old Jerry Lee and Charlie, and Go Cat Go still echoes through the years. You know the heart of country music still beats in Luke the Drifter. You can tell it when he sang I Saw the Light. Old Marty, Hank, and Lefty, why, I can feel them right here with me on this silver eagle rolling through the night. Who's gonna fill their shoes? Who's gonna stand that tall? Who's gonna play the opera and the Wabash Cannonball? Who's gonna give their heart and soul to get to me and you? Lord, I wonder who's gonna fill their shoes. Yes, I wonder who's gonna fill their shoes.
Make welcome, if you will, from Bakersfield, California, the one and only Merle Haggard.
We don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. We don't take our trips on LSD. We don't burn our draft cards down on Main Street, 'cause we like living right and being free. We don't make a party out of loving, but we like holding hands and pitching woo. We don't let our hair grow long and shaggy like the hippies out in San Francisco do. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, a place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave Old Glory down at the courthouse, and white lightning still the biggest thrill of all. Leather boots are still in style for manly footwear. Beads and Roman sandals won't be seen, and football's still the roughest thing on campus. And the kids here still respect the college dean. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, a place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave Old Glory down at the courthouse. White lightning still the biggest thrill of all. And white lightning still the biggest thrill of all. In Muskogee, Oklahoma, USA.
Well, yes, friends, following that classic by Merle Haggard of Okie from Muskogee, we're back, and I would like to welcome you all back into the program this morning, and I would like to send out some very special dedications to start the program, as we usually do, to some dear friends and family. First of all, for Mama Dawn, it's going to be a song that truly says it like it is, Mama Tried. With that, it's going to be Merle Haggard and his all-time classic titled Mama Tried, and yes, Mama, you're still trying to this day, and we still love you. Then we'll follow with a song going out in loving memory of my late soulmate and best friend, Miss Velma LaPointe, also known as Miss Jenny. Now, Miss Jenny asked me to remember her by none other than a classic that Lefty Frizzell recorded many years ago titled Waltz of the Angels. So this one is going out to my dear late Velma. Then I would like to send a song out to my dear friend and the Mayor of Verona, Ontario as we often call him, Willie Lapointe, the brother of Velma. And it'll be a song by another early influence of Merle Haggard's, the legendary Tommy Collins. And it'll be a gospel-inspired song called A Man We All Ought to Know. With that, I would like to say good morning to everybody listening in over CFRC 1019 FM, and happy week to everybody else.
The first thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing and a youngin's dream of growing up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I'm bound, and no one could change my mind but Mama tried. The one and only rebel child from a family meek and mild, my Mama seemed to know what lay in store. In spite of all my Sunday learning, towards the bad I kept on turning, till Mama couldn't hold me anymore. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. Dear old daddy, rest his soul, left my mom a heavy load. She tried so very hard to fill his shoes, working hours without rest, wanted me to have the best. She tried to raise me right, but I refused. And I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried.
Of the angels I hear each night, I hold you tightly in these arms of mine. It's surely from heaven, this music I hear, when your lips say I love you, and was time, my dear. There must be a power much higher than I, a writer of love songs way up in the sky, the maker of roses, of love sweet and true, and the waltz of the angels, the moonlight and there must be a power much higher than I, a writer of love songs way up in the sky, the maker of roses, of love sweet and true,
boss of the angels, he wrote just for you.
We've heard of a man called Jesus. We know he was born long ago, but we all don't know he's our Savior. A man we all ought to know. He was born one morn of Virgin Mary, the only one ever born so. He was planned and God said to call him Jesus, a man we all ought to know. He roamed the countryside and talked with sinners. With words he made suffering ones whole. Such a man is he, our greatest teacher, and a man we all ought to know. Though a king, he walked with common people, their need of a new life he showed. All true are the words of our Savior, a man we all ought to know. If we doubt the power of the gospel, and our hearts are heavy with woe, we can take our troubles to Jesus, a man we all ought to know. He roamed the countryside and talked with sinners. With words he made suffering ones whole. Such a man is he, our greatest teacher, and a man we all ought to know.
Hello, friends. This is Darnell Miller. You're listening to Johnny Woodlock. And way back, keep listening to him because he's doing a lot for traditional country music.
Stop wearing out the hinges on the door.
And yes, friends, I do hope y'all enjoyed those classics. Now, as we welcome y'all back into the Way Back with Johnny show, I would like to salute the great valley we call the mighty Ottawa. With that shared, the inspiration of Merle Haggard's music was even felt way up here in Canada, especially with the Valley Legends. With that mentioned, I would like to put out a song for my dear friends and radio family, Uncle Ray and Aunt Margaret Trubisky in Eganville today. For them, it's going to be a classic off a record that Uncle Ray gave me some years ago by Ron McMahon, the Silver Fox of the Ottawa Valley, and he's going to be doing his classic version of Somebody Told My Story in a Song. Then we'll follow with a song going out to my dear radio friends and mentor Vic and Linda May Garbett of Arn Pryor, Ontario. It'll be a song by Ronnie Prophet. He was forever known for doing different covers of songs, and it's going to be Back in Love by Monday. Now, just a reminder that Vic has a great program every Sunday evening from 7 to 10 over Valley Heritage Radio in Ottawa in the Renfrew County. And then we'll wrap up with another all-time classic, Haggard song, as performed live here by Tom Wilson, our dear friend from Brockville. It'll be Tom's live version of Working Man Blues. With that, I would like to say good day to everybody out there in the valley listening in. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
Played a brand new record on the jukebox. I scarcely could believe the song I heard. It told of how you left me for another.
I played a brand new record on the jukebox. I scarcely could believe the song I heard. It told of how you left me for another. It was almost like I'd written every word. Someone told my story in a song. The lyrics told of happiness and home. And then it told of how you done me wrong. Someone told my story in a song. Or he wrote it all and never missed a line. He told of swinging doors and a jukebox, and he even knew I almost lost my mind. Someone told my story in a song. The lyrics told of happiness and home. And then it told of how you done me wrong. Someone told my story in a song. Someone told my story in a song.
We're not back in love by Monday. We can't say we didn't try. But before we bury our love, let's make sure we've let it die.
We can call Mrs. Johnston to keep the kids a day or two. Take the early flight to Florida, just the way we used to do. Have room service bring us breakfast, make love all through the day. If we're not back in love by Monday, we could go our separate ways. If we're not back in love by Monday, we can't say we didn't try. But before we bury our love, let's make sure we've let it die. Sleep a few more nights together, say the things we used to say. If we're not back in love by Monday, we could go our separate ways. We could find that little cafe with a funny sounding name. Get the table by the window, I'll say I love you once again. If the violin player's still there, we'll dance until the break of day. If we're not back in love by Monday, we can go our separate ways. If we're not back in love by Monday, we can't say we didn't try. But before we bury our love, let's make sure we've let it die. Sleep a few more nights together, say the things we used to say. If we're not back in love by Monday, we can go our separate ways.
Drink my beer in a tavern, sing a little bit of these working man blues.
Big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife. I've been a working man dang near all my life. I get working. On Monday morning I'm right back with the crew. I drink my beer at the Legion and sing a little bit of these working man blues. Sometimes I think about quitting, do a little running around, throw my bills out the window, take a train to another town. But I'll be working. On Monday morning I'm right back with the crew. I drink a little beer in the evening and sing a little bit of these working man blues. Well, hey, hey, the working man, a working man like me, never been on welfare, and that's the one place I won't be, 'cause I'll be working. I gotta get my kids a brand new pair of shoes. I drink a little beer in the evening, sing a little bit of these working man blues. Ah, here's the band. Well, hey, hey, the working man, a working man like me, ain't never been on welfare, and that's the one place I won't be. I'll be working. I gotta get my kids a brand new pair of shoes. I drink a little beer in the evening and sing a little bit of these working man blues. Ah, play, boys. Hey, hey, the working man like me, never been on welfare, and that's the one place I won't be, 'cause I'll be working. On Monday morning I'm right back with the crew. I drink a little beer in the evening and sing a little bit of these working man blues. Oh, this one's for the working man.
Beside that river, that mighty river, that rolling river.
Hello, this is Tom Wilson of Border Bluegrass. You're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on Way Back. Stay tuned for classic country music.
And the St. Lawrence River's my home.
Yes, friends, once again it's that time in the program to welcome a very special guest of honor onto the program this morning. On this, our tribute to Merle Haggard, the great hag of country music. Well, with that mentioned, this next guest of honor I'd like to welcome to the Way Back with Johnny show here today she was the third wife of the legendary Merle Haggard, having been married from 1978 to 1983 to the man we are remembering today. With that connection to Merle Haggard, it's a true honor to welcome a dear friend of mine who I have formed a friendship with over the years. That is Miss Leona Williams, who also wrote one of Hag's greatest ballads titled Someday When Things Are Good. With that, I would like to welcome Miss Leona to our program today. Following this interview, we will hear an all-time classic duet that was a top 10 hit for Leona and Merle back in 1978, titled The Bull and the Beaver. With that, I'd like to welcome you all in, and here now is my dear friend and a true friend of the show, Miss Leona Williams.
How are you, Johnny?
Very good, very good. So how's life treating you these days?
Well, just really good. I've been here in Missouri the last couple days, but before that I was in Tennessee.
Oh, yes.
With my other part of my family down there. So I've just been having fun, enjoying myself, because we worked hard last year. It was gone a lot. Been just kind of catching up with everybody.
And I understand you also have a new album out.
I do. They put out a new CD on me. It's 24 songs on the CD, duets that I've done with different singers.
Yes.
In the music.
Including work with Merle Haggard, but also I see on this Mac Wiseman.
Mac Wiseman, yes. You know, just
Jimmy Martin.
Several people on there.
Yeah. Sure.
Jimmy Martin. I love bluegrass music, so I got to sing with some of my favorites there.
Well, that's amazing. What do you remember about working with Mac?
Oh, gosh. Ron and I used to go over to his house all the time. He'd have special private parties at Mac's house there.
Oh, yes.
We'd go over there and sing. Sometimes Bill Anderson would be there.
Oh, nice.
You know, different singers would be there. But it was real fun, and I've worked a lot of shows with him. He was always special, always nice, and just a great person.
Well, we sure do miss him. I know this year he turns 100, and he would have turned 100 rather in May, but yes.
Yeah.
So let's...
I was just saying, I was thinking about him the other day, how we always went over to his house this time of year, and, you know, and got to sit there, and he'd sit there and listen to us the last year or so of his life, you know.
I see.
We had a lot of fun, a lot of good memories about Mac, and also Jimmy Martin. I got a kick out of doing a duet with him.
Yes.
You know.
What was he like? I've heard different people's opinions on Jimmy over the years.
With me, he was the finest person ever was. I went down and sang a duet with him, and it was just wonderful.
Amazing.
He treated me really good. We did that old song, If Teardrops Were Pennies.
So let's go into, how did you get into music?
Well, I was around music basically my whole lifetime, because my dad was a great fiddle player in Missouri, in a little town called Vienna, Missouri. And then later, my brothers was playing fiddle. We just came up from there was 12 of us kids, and almost all of them played fiddle or guitar or something, you know. And my mom, she could play piano, she could play clawhammer style banjo.
Oh, yes.
Grew up in music, and anyways, when I was 15 years old, I had my own radio show in Jefferson City, Missouri, called Leona Sings, and I did that for a while, and then I moved into a different deal. I went to beauty college, you know, and did that for a while, and we got to meet the Wilburn brothers and Loretta Lynn one time, and so later on we were pretty good friends with them, and with Loretta and stuff, and so we booked some fair dates, and my kids' dad, Ron Sr., we played behind her and booked some fair date, and we was the band, and she was so sweet to us. She said, if I ever make it, I'm going to help you kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, and later on at the beauty shop, she called me. She said, I'm starting my own band. She said, I want you to move to Nashville. I'll have you a house and all that stuff, you know.
Amazing.
Real sweet. So we moved down there and worked with Loretta about a year.
Is that right? Yes.
On the road.
Yes. Did you ever record with her?
No, I never did get to record with her, but she did record a song we'd written, you know. It's on her Don't Come Home Drinking album.
Okay.
But it's called Get What You Got and Go.
Oh, yes, yes.
Anyways, we had written that and stuff, and Loretta was a wonderful, wonderful person to us, you know, and stuff. And then I got a record deal, and the rest is history.
Share with us, we're doing a tribute today to Merle Haggard. You were his third wife. What do you remember about first meeting Merle, if I may ask that?
Well, you know, I was I was on RCA Records at that time.
Yes.
And I just had got with them. And so anyway, he was in town, and Ronnie Reno, who was working with Merle for a long time there, Ronnie lived real close to me in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he was a good friend and everything. And he said, Merle's the biggest fan of yours. He loved my record of Once More.
Okay.
And he loved, Yes, Ma'am, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd also just had a top 10 song I'd written, Connie Smith. And so, anyways, Merle was just a big fan. He wanted to meet me, you know. So Ronnie called me and he said, we're having dinner down here at a place called Ireland's down here in Nashville. Could you come down here? So I said, okay. So anyway, I went down there and met him and everything. And Merle was actually recording a Train album at that time.
Okay.
And so at that Train album of his. And so anyway, he and Ronnie rode with me from the restaurant over to the recording studio. And when we got over there, why, Merle said, stay in here with me. I need some confidence. And I thought, oh my God, good as you sang. You know.
Exactly,
you don't
for
need
sure.
confidence, but I guess everybody does. So anyway, he recorded that song, Where Have All the Hobos Gone? And so anyways, it was on that album, you know, but he said, stand up here and sing with me. So I did. I sang with him. That's the first time I sang with him. Anyways, then later he kept calling, wanting me to work on the road with him and with their show and sang some harmonies and open the show for him. So I opened the show for Merle for quite a while, and then I'd stand back there and sing some harmony or sit down and play guitar with him, you know, whatever. I was with Merle almost 9 years.
Yes,
you know,
I see. Yes.
But we weren't married that long.
No.
We were married 6 years or something like that. I never did really figure it out, but it's around 6 years we were married.
Yes, I see.
But
And
Merle was a talented person, you know.
he sure was, yes, as you are as well, and your son, Ron, yes.
Well, thank you. That Ronnie's a good singer. I
That's for
really
sure.
enjoy working with him.
And it's good
you know.
to see that he's keeping real country music alive in today's world.
Last year we were in all kinds of different places. We was in Montana. We was in Canada. Yeah, we were in Nova Scotia. Yeah, we did a show up there. And we were in, oh golly, all over West Virginia. And down south, you know, we were in down in Louisiana and Mississippi and stuff like that.
I
But
see.
anyways, we just do what we love, and if they call us, I don't have an agent.
Oh, okay.
I just take what comes, and I've been lucky.
So tell us about your song that you got to record with Merle called The Bull and the Beaver, if you would.
Okay, I'll tell you about that.
Yeah, it's a great song, by the way.
How that come along. Merle and I told Merle one time in his bus, and we were driving down the road, and I said, golly, we were actually going to Gatlinburg just to get away from Nashville, the music for a minute, and go have, you know, some fun down there and see Gatlinburg. So anyway, I told him I'd like to have a CB radio.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, what would your handle be? And I said, well, hadn't thought of that. He said, how about the Beaver from Missouri? And I said, okay, that sounds good. And I said, well, what would yours be? And about that time I looked up, there's a big sign that said, Bull of the Woods chewing tobacco. You could be the Bull of the Woods then, you know. So we started laughing. I started writing this silly song and wound up. We never did get to Gatlinburg. We turned around and came back to Nashville and recorded it, put it out. It was a top 10 record for us.
Yes, it sure was, and one of your best remembered for sure, yes. You wrote a song for him that was one of his biggest hits, Someday When Things Are Good. How did this one come about, if I may ask that?
I don't know. You person's always looking for, you know, it seems like if something strikes you, write a song about it a lot of times, you know. And but I wrote Someday When Things Are Good, and it was the #1 record for Merle. Before he recorded, I had an album called Someday When Things Are Good myself, and then he recorded, of course, with his wonderful voice and his record company working for him. He had a #1 record of that, and then later on, I wrote another one called You Take Me for Granted. That was the #1 for him, and you know, I was awful proud of those, I'll tell you, and what a good singer he was. I'd recorded those both myself. I have, you know, both of those on some of my records.
Yes, you did.
Albums, whatever. Yeah.
Looking at, what is your thoughts on how Merle is remembered in today's world? I know the opera and everything are turning 100, but what is your thoughts on his remembrance, or how the fans remember him?
Well, he had, and still does. He had so many fans, and still does. You know, those people out there, you know, they'd still like to hear a new Merle Haggard record, but they
Oh, we all would, but yeah.
We'd all like to hear some more of Merle, but I'm just proud to know that I got to do a duet album with Merle called Heart to Heart. And anyways, I got to sing on like Big City and Ramblin' Fever and a whole bunch of different records of his I sang on, and proud to be a part of it. But also, Merle had a wife named Bonnie.
Yes.
That was a sweet lady, and she sang on all of his records in the beginning, you know, Swinging Doors and different ones, you know, doing harmonies. And also, Glenn Campbell sang harmony on a lot of Merle's records back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronnie Reno sang on some of them. You know, he was just a lot of people reached out to help him or to whatever he might need, because everybody loved Merle, for sure.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say I got to know Merle's mother. She was precious. Miss Flossie was a wonderful lady. She's kind of like my mom. Matter of fact, we got to have our moms together several times, and it's real special to look back on that. And his sister Lillian was friends and with us, and sweet family lady, and had a brother named Lowell. We were all close, and I'm still, Merle's got lots of kids, but I'm close with Marty Haggard.
Yeah.
And you know what's so good is once in a while we're booked on a show where Ron, my son Ron, and then Marty, I call Marty my bonus son, and the three of us Sing Me Back Home or stuff like that together.
Oh, nice.
And I've seen the audience just have tears in their eyes, you know, they're like so happy.
For sure.
I have to tell you, it's really good too. I hate to brag, but it's really good on my boys singing, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Yes.
I'll wrap it up there, but I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and thank you for everything. God bless you. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You've got the bull of the woods.
You've got the paper from Missouri.
We can't get nothing done on this CB. You've got the bull of the woods.
You've got the paper from Missouri.
We ought to get together, you and me.
If you'll give me your 10-20, I'll be glad to give you mine, and I'll put this 18-wheeler on the side.
Well, it won't be hard to find you, babe, I'm right behind you. Just put them air brakes on and let her slide. You've got the bull of the woods.
You've got the paper from Missouri.
Yeah, but we can't get nothing done on the CB. You've got the bull of the woods.
You've got the paper from Missouri.
Yeah, and we ought to get together, you and me. Running, buddy, let your partner sleep a while. 10-4, come back, I'm waiting on your call.
Hey, you sound like a keeper, and know I've got an empty sleeper with sexy lights and mirrors on the wall.
Well, I'm a bull of the woods,
and I'm the paper from Missouri,
but can't get nothing done on this CB. I'm the bull of the woods.
I'm the paper from Missouri.
We gotta get together, you and me. Yeah, we're gonna get together, you and me. You better get ready, baby. I'm pulling in behind you.
Well, I've got the air brakes on and the lights turned on and I'm turned on.
About the only thing left to do is just start grazing. I'm the bull of the woods.
And I'm the paper from Missouri.
We ought to get together, you and me.
Mercy on this weary soul of mine. Don't let the Smoky Mountain smoking in your eyes. Will there be any blue
bluegrass in heaven.
Howdy friends and listeners, Johnny Woodlock here, and I'd like to tell y'all about the Gallup Canal Bluegrass Festival 2025, located in Iroquois, Ontario, and happening from June 11th to the 14th, with some of the best musicians in bluegrass music, including but not limited to Virginia's Nothing Fancy, as well as New England's Rock Hearts, and also featuring some of Canada's top musicians, including Nova Scotia's Ray Legier and the Bluegrass Diamonds. Tickets cost $120 in advance till June 1st, with day passes available at the gate. Learn more by visiting gallupcanalbluegrass.ca or calling Barb at 613-543-3114. See you there, friends.
Any bluegrass in heaven.
Don't let Smoky Mountain smoking in your eye.
Oh Lord, have mercy on this weary soul of mine.
Yes, friends, following that interview with our dear friend Leona Williams, we're back, and it's once again that time to salute the segment we have always called the Vinyl Blast from Vinyl Past. But first, we must open the Vinyl Vault door. Now, friends, that the Vinyl Vault door is wide open, I would like to salute a recording that was borrowed from the archives of YouTube. With that mentioned, it will be the first song that Merle Haggard ever recorded way back in 1962. With that, this was also written by fellow Bakersfield musician Wynn Stewart, and it will be the original version of Sing Me a Sad Song, which, as y'all know today, was Merle's first release in 1962, after just coming out of prison. With that, here's this all-time classic. Now turn up the volume for a real gem. Welcome in, friends.
Sing me a song, sadness, and sing it as blue as I feel. If a tear should appear, it's because she's not here. Sing a sad song and sing it for me. She's unhappy with me. She told me so. I'm unhappy without her, and I still love her so. Oh, sing me a song of sadness, pretend it's the end of the world. Sing it sweet and sing it low, and then I'll have to go. Sing a sad song and sing it for me. Sing it sweet and sing it low, and then I'll have to go. Sing a sad song and sing it for me.
Yes, friends, once again, we're at the end of the first hour here at the Way Back with Johnny show here on CFRC and also www.osharocks.com. Now, as we play us out of the first hour and into the second hour today, I like to pay tribute to two songs that truly speak about the days we live in now. The Bible mentions about Matthew 24. With that, I would like to play a song by the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, and called Matthew 24 is Knocking at the Door. Then we'll follow with sending us into the very top of the second hour here this morning with Merle Haggard once again, and a song he wrote titled Jesus Take a Hold. With that, I hope you all enjoy these gospel-inspired songs. Now, good morning everybody out there listening in, and also welcome into the Way Back with Johnny show here on this great channel.
I heard on the radio there's rumors of war, people getting ready for battle, and there may be just one more. I heard about an earthquake and the toll it took away. These are the signs of the times we're in today. Matthew 24 is knocking at the door, and there can't be too much more to come to pass. Matthew 24 is knocking at the door, and a day or one day more could be the last. The great bear from the Northland has risen from his sleep, and the army ranks in red are near 200 million deep. The young and old now prophesy a coming Prince of Peace, and last night I dreamed of lightning in the east. Matthew 24 is knocking at the door, and there can't be too much more to come to pass. Matthew 24 is knocking at the door, and a day or one day more could be the last.
Like the ancient Roman Empire, this world is doomed to fall, and it's much too big a thing for mortal man. Just take a look around and see the writing on the wall. Somehow you've got to find a helping hand. This world has never been in the awful shape it's in, and people scorn the things our leaders do. It's time a prayer was spoken from the heart of every man. Jesus, take a hold and lead us through. The mighty roar of gunfire is now a local sound, and our city streets are filled with angry men. Law's now a mockery throughout our troubled land, and destruction seems to be the current trend. This world has never been in the awful shape it's in, and our leaders seem in doubt of what to do. It's time a prayer was spoken from the heart of every man. Jesus, take a hold and lead us through. Jesus, take a hold and lead us through.
Yes, ma'am. He found me in a honky-tonk.
This is Leona Williams, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock. On the way back, stay tuned for some real country music.
And if he felt the way you do, I'd go back where I belong.
Now, friends, I do hope y'all enjoyed those classic gospel favorites, and as we welcome y'all into the other side of the second hour here this morning, depending on where you're listening, it is 9 o'clock here in downtown Kingston, Ontario, and also Cornwall, Ontario. And we are still coming to you, as we usually do, via Woodlock Ranch and Studios in Cornwall, Ontario, where this is recorded weekly, but it is also being carried over historic CFRC 101.9 FM from the heart of downtown Kingston, and also heard over our internet radio home at www.osharocks.com, where we are heard throughout the week. With that mentioned, I would like to invite y'all into the second hour here this morning, and remember a double feature of one of the leading ladies in the Merle Haggard story. That lady is the legendary Bonnie Owens, who was married to Buck Owens originally, but was also married to the head of country music, Merle Haggard, from 1965 to 1978, and stayed friends with Merle long after they broke up and divorced as well. With that mentioned, Bonnie was and always has been a true part of country music history, as a special part of the success Merle Haggard had early on in his career. With that mentioned, we are also going to pay tribute to Bonnie today with none other than two classics. Now, she was a wonderful singer in her own right, having many hits over the years, that I would like to remember her today, first of all, with a classic titled My Hi-Fi to Cry By. Then we'll follow with a duet between Merle and Bonnie herself, and a song titled Slowly But Surely I'm Falling in Love. With that, I'd like to welcome y'all to the second hour here this morning and say happy listening to all my listeners out there.
Unbeknownst to me, I was falling in love with Bonnie Owens. She and I were touring together, and she was older than I was. She was so beautiful.
I turn on my radio each morning around 9 to hear the man announcing it's country music time. He plays the record hits that fit most every girl and guy. Then he plays our song, and it's my hi-fi to cry by. I wonder how the man who wrote the song knew to say the words that keep on haunting me day after day. As long as you're here in my heart, there'll be tears in my eyes, especially when I'm listening to my hi-fi to cry by. There must be other broken hearts that feel the same way too, but they don't know the hurt that goes along with losing you. So just to hear that song and live with memories is why I turn on my hi-fi to have my daily cry. I wonder how the man who wrote the song knew to say the words that keep on haunting me day after day. As long as you're here in my heart, there'll be tears in my eyes, especially when I'm listening to my hi-fi to cry by. Especially when I'm listening to my hi-fi to cry by.
I always felt like his big sister, because I'm older than him, and I still do feel like his big sister. We still talk like that.
Slowly but surely I'm falling in love with you. Slowly but surely you're winning my heart,
and you're winning my heart too.
Slowly but surely I'm losing my heart,
and I'm losing my heart to you.
Slowly
but surely my dreams will come true if I spend my lifetime with you. You're just what I've wanted.
You're just what I've needed.
You're my every dream come true. My love's growing stronger.
I can't wait much longer.
I'm falling in love with you.
Slowly but surely I'm falling in love with you. Slowly but surely my dreams will come true if I spend my lifetime with you.
You're just what I've wanted.
You're just what I needed.
You're my every dream come true. My love's growing stronger.
I can't wait much longer.
I'm falling in love with you. Yes, I'm falling in love with you.
We built another friendship that lasted for many years, all the way to her death, you know. And I went to see her last time at the home where she was staying. And she was several years into the Alzheimer's thing, and she grabbed me by the arm and she said, "I got to take you down to my room." So I followed her down to the room, and she had this big slick of her and I behind her bed. And she looked at me and she said, "He's my favorite." She didn't identify me with that picture.
Yes, friends, once again it's that time in the program to welcome a very special member of our morning team to our program once again. That, of course, is Simbush the Wonder Husky. With that, I'd like to welcome Simbush with her collection of great Merle Haggard songs. First, we'll remember a classic called Rainbow Stew, which is a very topical song during this era. Then we'll follow with another all-time classic, rather patriotic song, which to me is another topical one, titled The Fighting Side of Me. And we'll wrap up with another one called Are the Good Times Really Over for Good, also known as Snowball Headed to Hell. With that, I would like to thank Simbush for her contribution to today's program. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
There's a big brown cloud in the city, and the countryside's a sin. The price of life is too high to give up, it's gotta come down again. But worldwide war is over and done, and the dream of peace comes true. We'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. When we find out how to burn the water and the gasoline car is gone, when an airplane flies without any fuel and the sunlight heats our home. One of these days when the air clears up and the sun comes shining through, we'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. Eating rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. All right, Marky. Here comes Don. You don't have to get high to get happy. Just think about what's in store. When people start doing what they ought to be doing, then they won't be booing no more. When a president goes through the White House door, does what he says he'll do, we'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. Eating rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. Eating rainbow stew in a a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. I hear people talking bad about the way they have to live here in this country, harping on the wars we fight, griping about the way things ought to be. I don't mind them switching sides and standing up for things they believe in. When they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country horse, you walking on the fighting side of me. I read about some squirrely guy who claims that he just don't believe in fighting, and I wonder just how long the rest of us can count on being free. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. And when they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down the way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country, man, you're walking on the fighting side of me. You're walking on the fighting side of me, running down the way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country horse, you walking on the fighting side of me. Wish a buck was still silver. It was back when the country was strong. Back before Elvis and before the Vietnam War came along. Before the Beatles and yesterday, when a man could still work, still would. It's the best of the free life behind us now. And are the good times really over for good? And are we rolling downhill like a snowball headed for hell? No kind of chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. I wish a Ford and a Chevy would still last 10 years like they should. It's the best of the free life behind us now. Are the good times really over for good? I wish Coke was still cola and a joint was a bad place to be. And it was back before Nixon lied to us all on TV. Before microwave ovens, when a girl could still cook and still would. It's the best of the free life behind us now. Are the good times really over for good? I'll be rolling down the hill like a snowball headed for hell, with no kind of chance for the flag, the Liberty Bell. I wish a Ford and a Chevy would still last 10 years like they should. Is the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over for good? Stop rolling down the hill like a snowball headed for hell. Stand up for the flag and let's all ring the Liberty Bell. Make a Ford and a Chevy, it'll still last 10 years like they should. 'Cause the best of the free life is still yet to come, and the good times ain't over for good.
I found a stack of old records that we used to listen to. Hey everybody, this is Margie Singleton in Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock right here on Way Back. Keep listening, you'll be glad you did. Do you ever think of me after all these years?
Yes, friends, once again, it's that time following Simbush's Top Favorites to welcome y'all back into the program. To salute the segment I like to call The Great Canadian Northern Gems by Even Greater Canadian Northern Legends. With that mention, I would like to share that Merle Haggard's impact on the country music scene even reached way up here to the North Country of Canada. With that shared, I would like to play 3 covers of Merle Haggard's songs as recorded by the Canadian legends of the past. First, there'll be a song going out to my beloved parents, both Mama Don and Papa Willie B, who gave me the best gifts in life. That was life, but also my love for country music. With that, I'd like to send it out to Mama Don and also in loving memory of my late father, Papa Willie B. For them today will be Norman Post, who is a dear friend of ours, and it's going to be Mama's Hungry Eyes. Then we'll follow a song going out to our good friend here in Durham County, Big Al Trainer of Oshawa, and from Big Al, it's going to be a cover of an old song titled Big City. Then we'll wrap up with, yes, another all-time cover of a favorite by Merle Haggard, and that's by none other than our late great friend Johnny Burke, and it'll be Daddy Frank. With that, I would like to welcome you all in to this part of the program. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
A canvas covered cabin in a crowded labor camp stand out in this memory I revive.
A canvas covered cabin in a crowded labor camp stands out in this memory I revive. 'Cause my daddy raised a family fair with 2 hard-working tried to feed my mama's hungry eyes. He dreamed of something better, and my mama's faith was strong. And us kids were just too young to realize that another class of people put us somewhere just below. One more reason for my mama's hungry eyes. Mama never had the luxury she wanted, but it wasn't 'cause my daddy didn't try. She only wanted things she really needed. One more reason for my mama's hungry eyes. I remember Daddy praying for a better way of life, but I don't recall a change of any size. Just a little loss of courage as their age began to show, and more sadness in my mama's hungry eyes. Mama never had the luxury she wanted, but it wasn't 'cause my daddy didn't try. She only wanted things she really needed. One more reason for my mama's hungry eyes. Oh, I still recall my mama's hungry eyes.
I'm tired of this dirty old city. Entirely too much work and never enough play.
I'm tired of this dirty old city. Entirely too much work and never enough play. And I'm tired of these dirty old sidewalks. Think I'll walk off my steady job today. Turn me loose, set me free, somewhere in the middle of Montana. Give me all I got coming to me. You can keep your retirement and your so-called Social Security. Big city, turn me loose and set me free. Been working every day since I was 20. Haven't got a thing to show for everything I've done. There's folks who never work and they've got plenty. Think it's time guys like me had some fun. turn me loose, set me free, somewhere in the middle of Montana. Give me all I got coming to me. You can keep your retirement and your so-called Social Security. A big city, turn me loose and set me free. Big city, turn me loose and set me free.
And it wasn't like no normal family combo, 'cause Daddy Frank the guitar man was blind.
Daddy Frank played the guitar and the French harp. Sister played the ringing tambourine. Mama couldn't hear our pretty music. She read our lips and helped the family sing. That little band was all a part of living, and our only means of living at the time. And it wasn't like no normal family combo, 'cause Daddy Frank the guitar man was blind. Frank and Mama counted on each other. Their one and only weakness made them strong. My mama did the driving for the family. Frank made a living with a song. Home was just the camp along the highway. Pickup beds were where we bedded down. Don't never once remember going hungry, but I remember Mama cooking on the ground. Daddy Frank played the guitar and the French harp. Sister played the ringing tambourine. Mama couldn't hear our pretty music. She read our lips and helped the family sing. That little band was all a part of living, and our only means of living at the time. And it wasn't like no normal family combo, 'cause Daddy Frank the guitar man was blind. Can't remember how they got acquainted. Can't recall just how it came to be. There had to be some special help from someone, and blessed be the one who let it be. Fever caused my mama's lost a hearing. Daddy Frank was born without his sight, and Mama needed someone she could lean on. And I believe the guitar man was right. Daddy Frank played the guitar and the French harp. Sister played the ringing tambourine. Mama couldn't hear our pretty music. She read our lips and helped the family sing. That little band was all a part of living, and our only means of living at the time. And it wasn't like no normal family combo, 'cause Daddy Frank the guitar man was blind. Yes, Daddy Frank the guitar man was blind.
I'm paying for it dearly every day.
Hi, I'm Harold McIntyre, and you're listening to Way Back with my good friend Johnny Woodlock.
Wish I'd learned to run before she made me crawl.
But yes, friends, once again, it's that time to welcome a very special little member of our program to our show this morning. With that mentioned, it's time to once again welcome Lil Gunny, the Dash Hound, to our program. Now, even though she is the smallest member of our morning team, she makes it up with a giant personality, which makes her the real wiener of our program. Get it? That's a joke. A winner. Anyway, with that mentioned, we're going to have Gunny's top favorites here this morning, which include some of the prison-type songs of Merle Haggard. First of all, we're going to hear an all-time classic titled Rambling Fever. Then we're going to follow with a song that I have always enjoyed of Merle's titled Branded Man, which is a lot of truth to that song, especially when he says they never let him live it down, which they never did. And then we'll wrap up with a 1968 classic that charted at number 6 on the Billboard charts back then, and it was, of course, Bonnie and Clyde, that was inspired by the legendary movie from 1967. With that, I'd like to welcome you all into the Way Back with Johnny show here on CFRC and also www.osharocks.com. And thank you, Lil Gunny, for your contribution to today's program. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
Same nail too long. My ears can't stand to hear the same old song, and I don't leave the highway long enough to bog down in the mud, 'cause I've got rambling fever in my blood. I caught this rambling fever long ago when I first heard a lonesome whistle blow. If someone said I ever gave a damn, they damn sure told you wrong. I've had rambling fever all along. Rambling fever, the kind that can't be measured by degrees. Rambling fever, there ain't no kind of cure for my disease. There's times I'd like to bed down on the sofa and let some pretty lady rub my back, and spend the early morning drinking coffee, talking about when I'll be coming back. 'Cause I don't let no woman tie me down, and I'll never get too old to get around. I want to die along the highway and rot away like some old highline pole. Restless rambling fever in my soul. Rambling fever, kind that can't be measured by degrees. Rambling fever, there ain't no kind of cure for my disease. Yeah. And be proud of who I am, but they won't let my secret go untold. I paid the debt I owed them, but they're still not satisfied. Now I'm a branded man out in the cold. When they let me out of prison, I held my head up high, determined I would rise above the shame. But no matter where I'm living, the black mark follows me. I'm branded with a number on my name. I'd like to hold my head up and be proud of who I am, but they won't let my secret go untold. I paid the debt I owed them, but they're still not satisfied. Now I'm a branded man out in the cold. If I live to be 100, I guess I'll never clear my name, 'cause everybody knows I've been in jail. No matter where I'm living, I got to tell them where I've been, or they'll send me back to prison if I fail. I'd like to hold my head up and be proud of who I am, but they won't let my secret go untold. I paid the debt I owed them, but they're still not satisfied. Now I'm a branded man out in the cold. Now I'm a branded man out in the cold. Bonnie was a waitress in a small cafe. Clyde Barrow was the rounder that took her away. They both robbed and killed until both of them died. So goes the legend of Bonnie and Clyde, the poems that she wrote of the life that they led, told of the lawmen left dying or dead. Some said Clyde made her life a shame, but the legend made Bonnie the head of the game. The rampage grew wilder with each passing day, the odds growing smaller with each getaway. With the end growing closer, the harder they fought. With blood on their hands, they were bound to get caught. They drove back from town on one bright summer day, when a man they befriended stepped out in the way. With no thought of dying, they pulled to the side, but deathly they're waiting for Bonnie and Clyde. 2 years of running was ended that day. For robbing and killing they both had to pay, but we'll always remember how they lived and died. So goes the legend of Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie and Clyde.
You were mine for just a while, now you're putting on the style.
Hello, my name's Charlton Walker, son of country music legend Charlie Walker. Coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. You're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on Way Back. Enjoy the program.
Pick me up on your way down.
Yes, friends, following those classics, it's a true honor to welcome our second weekly special guest. This next guest is a true friend of mine. Not only was he born the son of a legend of country music, but also became a legend in his own right, having recorded many songs throughout the years, including many of his father, Merle Haggard's songs. With that mentioned, it is a great honor to welcome Marty Haggard to our program, the son of Merle Haggard, in honor of his father, Merle Haggard, today. Now, following this first half of this two-part interview and visit, we will hear an all-time classic titled Sing Me Back Home, which will be sung by Marty Haggard in honor of his father, Merle Haggard. But we will start it off with a little bit of the Merle Haggard version. Now, this song was one of the best beloved classics of the Merle Haggard collection, and it is a song that Marty and I talk about during this interview, the first part of a two-part interview with that. Here now is a true legend in his own time and a legendary son of none other than a country music pioneer and Hall of Famer, Merle Haggard. Here's Marty Haggard, friends.
Well, hello, Johnny. How you doing, buddy?
Very good, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you, Marty.
You too. I have never been introduced as a legend. I've been introduced as a son of a legend.
Well, you are, and very much you've done your own music as well.
Well, I did okay. And I think I'm finding out I have a lot more supporters and fans out there than I realized, but by no stretch of the imagination ever remotely close to the level Dad reached.
There's only one Merle Haggard, and there's only one Marty Haggard, so...
Thank God. I'm Greyhound for that.
So let's go back to when and where you were born. You were born the son of country music icon Merle Haggard.
Yes, I was born in Bakersfield, California in 1958. Of course, that's where Dad was born and raised also. Known as the country music capital of the West Coast, and that's what they call it, the California Sound. Yeah, there was a lot of great artists coming out of that area. Jeannie Shepherd and Good Grief, Tommy Collins and Wynn Stewart. I mean, some great artists were coming out of that area during Tony Booth. So on.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, but we grew up in that little old dirt town. It's a oil town is what it is. A lot of farmers, a lot of oil patches, and pretty salt of the earth.
Yes, exactly. Down to earth people, exactly, yeah. What was your childhood like growing up, the son of Merle?
Well, it started out a little rough. Dad was in San Quentin prison, so one to 19 years and 15 years, and when I was born. So, he was a troubled youth, and I was born, I think, the year they put him in San Quentin, and they finally released him 3 years later. And, of course, Mama made her living waitressing and picking cotton, and we were pretty poor. And when Dad got out of prison, It was a pretty rough upbringing, pretty rough marriage. Mom and Dad did not get along very good. And, when he got out of prison, it took him a little while to get into the music business and start turning his life around, I guess. But, we went from extremely poor to, Dad got in the music business, started doing really well, and we went from the poor side of town to the rich side of town pretty quick.
Yes, I see.
But there's trap doors with every life.
Mm-hmm.
Being Dad's son, the convict, wasn't any more difficult than it was being Merle Haggard's son, the famous guy.
And so looking at your father's upbringing, I understand, like you were mentioning, that between 9 and 21, he was in and out of about 18 institutions. Is that right?
Actually, it was 12 years old.
12?
From the time he
Okay.
was 12 years old to 18 years old, he had been arrested multiple times as a kid, doing juvenile delinquent stuff like truancy, and, I guess he stole a car once, and hopping box cars and riding on the trains, which was considered trespassing back in those days. But he was put in a lot of institutions like boys' camps and juvenile hall and all kinds of places, boys' prisons, basically. And
yes.
He escaped from wherever they put him 17 different times. So, he had a real problem with standing still.
Like they always said, or like he sang, the running kind.
The running kind and the fugitive and all that stuff.
Exactly.
He would take a bad situation, make it worse, bad decisions, and it was a troubled youth, and like I said, until he was 18, finally the first time he got arrested as an adult.
Okay.
And they arrested him for public drunk.
Oh, is that right? Yes, yes.
Yeah, they put him in the adult jail, which was the first time they ever put him in the adult part of the jail, and heck, they broke out of the Kern County jail. That was that was his 18th escape, and the judge looked at his record when they finally caught him. They found him and took him to court, and the judge looked at it and said, "We see a pattern developing here. You've escaped from 17, now 18 different places." And they branded him a habitual criminal.
Oh,
they
wow.
sent him to San Quentin prison, which was one of the worst prisons in America, and sent him there for 1 to 15 years. And it was in there that an old man, the guy who wrote the song "Sing Me Back Home" about.
Yes, Rabbit, I understand. Tell me the story about Rabbit, because you do a wonderful story on the stage about him.
Well, it's a really long story,
Yes.
and I'm glad to tell it, and I'll try to condense it a little bit.
Okay, sure.
So you can cover some other issues, but
Yeah.
The old man, like you said, his name, they called him Rabbit. Rabbit was what they called a lifer. He was doing 3 lives, and I don't know what Rabbit did to get put in San Quentin, but it was obviously pretty bad for him to give him life. And but he was an older man. He's probably in his 60s, about my age now. And Dad was 18, 19-year-old kid when he come into prison, and he was Dad's cellmate, I guess.
Yes.
And they became friends, and the old man kind of took Dad under his own wing and protected him, showed him the ropes, and and Dad would sing songs for him. He really enjoyed Dad singing, and it was while he was in there that Rabbit told Dad. He said, "Merle, I think I may have found a way to break out of San Quentin." And of course, Dad said, "Well, I want to go." Rabbit said, "Well, you can, Merle, if you want, but I'm asking you not to do it." And Rabbit told Dad, he said, "Merle, I'm an old man. I'm doing life. I ain't got nothing to lose. But you do. You're a young man, Merle. You need to straighten up and get out of here. Do something with your life before it's too late for you." And he's the one that told him, he said, "You got a gift for music. Do something with that. Don't follow in my footsteps." He said, "If you go with me on this prison break," he said, "there ain't no turning back for you." And he told him, he said, "I'm not coming back here without a fight, Merle. So unless you're willing to die, you don't want to go with me." But he talked him out of it, and but Rabbit and 2 other men did break out of San Quentin prison, and I don't know. I can tell you how he did, but that's another story.
That's another story, exactly. Yes. But out of this came "Sing Me Back Home," I understand.
Well, what happened was that Rabbit and his 2 friends did break out of San Quentin, and the law caught up with them a couple weeks later down in San Jose, south of San Quentin. They found them holed up in a little hotel down there, some little flea bag hotel. They surrounded them, trying to take them back into custody, and Rabbit and his 2 friends put up a fight, and the 2 men that were with Rabbit were killed by the police. Rabbit killed an officer, a policeman, trying to get away.
Wow. And there goes his life.
When they caught, they tried him for that crime, and back in those days, in the 50s, early 60s, you killed a policeman, it was almost automatic death sentence.
For sure, yeah.
They sent him back to San Quentin prison to execute him for shooting that policeman. And but Rabbit's last request before he died was that Dad be allowed to sing him one more song. And there was apparently a song that Rabbit's mama used to sing for him when he was a boy. He wanted to hear that song that his mama used to sing him one more time before he died. And the warden allowed it. Dad sang that song for Rabbit, and not long after that, they did execute Rabbit.
I see.
And about that same time all that was going on, Johnny Cash did come into the prison and did a show for all the convicts, and Dad seen Johnny on stage, and Rabbit had got him thinking about doing music for a living instead of what he was doing, and he looked at Rabbit and realized that lifestyle wasn't working out for him, and he seen Johnny on stage and said, "Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right there." And made his mind up to quit breaking the law and play by the rules of the prison, and eventually the prison realized that he had been habilitated or whatever, and they let him out in 1960. And
okay.
That was 2 years and 2 years and 9 months after they put him in, and he came home to Bakersfield, California. Me and my mama and my oldest sister were living in an old train boxcar that had been turned into like a little, almost like a mobile home, and that's where we're living, real poor, dirt poor. And Dad come home from San Quentin, went to work in the local bands around Bakersfield, and nobody knew he was an ex-convict, and but eventually he was so talented that somebody there in town that had a little independent record label. Well, Fuzzy Owen was his name.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fuzzy ended up being Dad's personal manager entirety of his whole career. But Fuzzy recognized his talent, and Fuzzy, he had some connections within the music business. He had actually written a couple top 10 records for other artists, but he talked Dad into letting him cut a record on him. Him and his cousin Louis Talley, they cut a record on him, and I think Fuzzy knew Win Stewart pretty good. Found this kid that could really sing. Asked him if he had any new songs. Win was a great songwriter. Wynn said, well, I got a song I just wrote called Sing a Sad Song.
Of course.
Well, send me that song. And then, long story made short, they cut that record on Dad. Fuzzy sold everything he had and borrowed every dime he could get his hands on to promote that little record. He knew he had a special artist. And they put it out, and they promoted it, that little independent record label, and the song went top 20 in the country. Caught the attention of Capitol Records, who ended up signing Dad to a major record deal in 1964. And then the first record they recorded off of Capitol was Lonesome Fugitive.
And I understand that he didn't write that one. It was Liz Anderson that wrote it.
That's right. Lynn wrote that, and All My Friends Are Gonna Be Strangers.
Yes.
So he hadn't quite developed into the songwriter he turned out to be at that point. He was still real young and green. He had no idea how good he was. He had never really experimented that much with songwriting. But anyway, it was in 1966, I think it was, that he wrote, maybe 67, Sing Me Back Home. And by the time he wrote that song, it had been 6 years since they released him from San Quentin. By the time he wrote that song, he had 2 #1 records, top 10 record, top 20 record. He had just won the New Male Vocalist of the Year award, and he was on his way. He was really doing well, and he was looking at his life and his career and realized how quickly things had turned around since San Quentin. The advice of that old man in San Quentin back there, Rabbit, what got him thinking about music, and he realized that that's what turned his life around. And thinking about Rabbit, he wrote Sing Me Back Home, and it turned out to be a country classic, a Merle Haggard classic for sure.
That's for sure,
and, yeah, Dad was singing all these songs about prison, which really a lot of country artists did that, but it wasn't till after Sing Me Back Home that, in fact, again, it was Johnny Cash who convinced Dad to let people know that he was an ex-convict, and because Dad wasn't proud of that, and he didn't want nobody to know, but Johnny Cash wanted to tell, he said, you need to let these people know that these songs are coming from your life, that these aren't songs, it's not like some other country artists singing songs about prison.
Well, for instance, Johnny Cash himself had never been to prison, so the stories say.
No. Johnny, he did a lot of shows in the prison, but Johnny spent 12 hours in the jail one night.
But that was it.
Yeah, but that was no big deal. And Johnny never did go to prison to do time, but he did go to prison to cut a couple live albums.
Exactly.
And, but anyway, Johnny was the one that told Dad that. Dad didn't want nobody to know that he was an ex-convict, but Johnny convinced him that you need to let people know about your past so they know where these songs are coming from. And Dad's musical ability was special, but when you look at the songs he was singing, he was one of the few artists that was singing songs about his personal life, which in itself was a movie. I mean, Dad's past was pretty colorful.
Yes, it was.
But anyway, that Sing Me Back Home song was the song that convinced him to let people know that he was actually an ex-convict. From there, the rest is history, as they say. But like you just said earlier, the songs "Running Kind," "Fugitive," "Branded Man," and all those songs about prison, songs about Dad's life.
He had lived them. Exactly.
Yeah, which was a unique part of his career because that's where he got his. I think he got that nickname in the music business called the Poet of the Common Man.
The warden led a prisoner down the hallway to his doom, and I stood up to say goodbye like all the rest. And I heard him tell the warden just before he reached my cell, let my guitar playing friend do my request. Let him sing me back home with a song I used to hear. Make my old memories.
The warden led a prisoner down the hallway to his doom. I stood up to say goodbye like all the rest. I heard him tell the warden just before he reached my cell, let my guitar playing friend do my request. Let him sing me back home with a song I used to hear. Make my old memories come alive. take me away and turn back the years and sing me back home before I die. I recall last Sunday morning, a choir from off the streets came in to sing a few old gospel songs. And I heard him tell the singers, there's a song my mama sang. Would you sing it once before you move along? Won't you sing me back home with a song I used to hear and make my old memories come alive and take me away and turn back the years and sing me back home before I die. Won't you sing me back home before I die?
You gotta keep those cards and letters coming in, honey.
Howdy, friends and listeners. This here is your old host with most country western music and bluegrass music, Johnny Woodlock. And I'd like to invite y'all, my listeners, to write yours truly, Johnny Woodlock, as well as Sim Bush and also Little Gunny, here at the Woodlock Ranch and Studios. Have you ever had a thought or a message for us about this program you hear weekly? If so, we would love to hear from you. So write to us at our email address at waybackwoodlock@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to write you back. In the meantime, back to the show, friends, and happy listening.
So keep those cards and letters coming in.
Well, yes, friends, once again, we have reached the end of the second hour of the Way Back with Johnny show here on CFRC and also www.osharocks.com. As I send us into the third and final hour, I would like to play a song by the man in black, Johnny Cash, who had a great influence in the Merle Haggard story. With that, we're going to hear a classic prison song from the Folsom Prison Live album titled Greystone Chapel. With that, I hope to talk to you on the other side of the third and final hour of 10 o'clock here this morning, and welcome in, friends. Happy listening.
Johnny Cash, I wasn't really all that knocked out with him until I saw him perform.
Thank you very much. This next song was written by a man right here in Folsom Prison, and last night was the first time I've ever sung this song. Anyway, this song was written by our friend Glenn Shirley, and hope we do your song justice, Glenn. We're going to do our best. Inside the walls of prison, my body may be, but my Lord has set my soul free. There's a gray stone chapel here at Folsom, a house of worship in this den of sin. You wouldn't think that God had a place here at Folsom, but he saved the soul of many lost men. Now this gray stone chapel here at Folsom stands 100 years old, made of granite rock. It takes a ring of keys to move here at Folsom, but the door to the house of God is never locked. Inside the walls of prison, My body may be, but the Lord has set my soul free. There are men here that don't ever worship. There are men here who scoff at the ones who pray. But I've got down on my knees in that gray stone chapel, and I thank the Lord for helping me each day. Now this gray stone chapel here at Folsom, it has a touch of God's hand on every stone. It's a flower of light in a field of darkness, and it's given me the strength to carry on. Inside the walls of prison, my body may be, but my Lord has set my soul free.
He knew that I'd been in prison, and he said he wanted to tell the people on the show. I said, oh man, let's don't do that, you know. And he said, if you do, he said, they'll never be able to harm you in the tabloids. Well, he said, honesty is the best policy in the long run, don't you think? I said, I do. So he told folks that I'd been in penitentiary. I'm sure it was the best thing to do, you know. The truth was going to find its way out anyway, and it was probably best that I was in favor of it.
He found me in a honky-tonk. This is Leona Williams, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock. On the way back, stay tuned for some real country music. And if he felt the way you do, I'd go back where I belong.
Yes, friends, once again, we're back here on the third and final hour of Way Back with Johnny. We're still coming to you via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios, like always, in Cornwall, Ontario, where this program is recorded weekly. And as mentioned, we can also be heard via CFRC 101.9 FM in downtown Kingston, Limestone City of Canada, as well as up in the Durham area and Greater Toronto area with www.osharocks.com. With that mentioned, I'd like to say thank you to two people who helped me greatly with this program in tribute to Merle Haggard. They are, of course, Miss Leona Williams, known as the third wife of none other than Merle Haggard, and also his son, Marty Haggard. With that, let's remember two classics. First of all, it's going to be Miss Leona Williams and her classic, You Take Me for Granted, which is a song she wrote Merle and he had a hit with. Then we'll follow with Marty Haggard himself and a classic titled I Take a Lot of Pride. With that, I would like to thank you and welcome you all to the third and final hour of today's program.
My legs and my feet have walked till they can't hardly move from trying to please you. And my back is sore from bending over backwards to just like the world at your door. And I'm trying hard to keep a smile on a sad face, while deep down it's breaking my heart. And as sure as the sun shines, I'll be a lifetime not knowing if I've done my part. 'Cause you take me for granted, and it's breaking my heart. And as sure as the sun shines, I'll be a lifetime
Things I learned in a hobo jungle were things they never taught me in a classroom. Like where to find a handout while bumming through Chicago in the afternoon. Hey, I'm not bragging or complaining, I'm just talking to myself man to man. This old mental fat I'm chewing didn't take a lot of doing, and I take a lot of pride in what I am. I guess I grew up a loner. I don't remember having any folks around. But I keep thumbing through the phone books, looking for my daddy's name in every town. And I meet lots of friendly people, but I always wind up leaving home the lamb. Hey, where I've been and where I'm going, it didn't take a lot of knowing, but I take a lot of pride in what I am. I never traveled in a hurry, I've got nobody waiting for me anywhere. Home is anywhere I'm living, if it's sleeping on some vacant bench in City Square, or if I'm working on some road gang, or just living off the fat of our great land. I've never been nobody's idol, but at least I've got a title, and I take a lot of pride in what I am. I've never been nobody's idol, but at least I've got a title, and I take a lot of pride in what I am. Yes, I take a lot of pride in what I am. And I take a lot of pride in what I am.
And yes, friends, it's once again that time to take our weekly trip down east to the good old Maritimes of Canada. With that, I would like to mention that Merle Haggard's music was even impactful back in the day to the great balladeers of the Maritimes of Canada. With that, I would like to play 3 covers of Merle's great songs. But first, let's put on a song for my dear friends in Pugwash, Nova Scotia, Peter and Myrna Trenholm. For them today, it's going to be a cover of The Way It Was in 51 by Peter himself. Then we'll follow with a song by one of the true legends of Newfoundland, singer-songwriter Roy Payne and The Fugitive. And we'll wrap up this set with another all-time cover, this time of Swinging Doors, as performed by the Nova Scotia-based singer who passed away a few years ago, Lloyd Snow. And it's going to be, yes, Swinging Doors. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say good morning to everybody east of Quebec City. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
66 was still a narrow 2-lane highway. Harry Truman was the man who ran the show. The bad Korean War was just beginning, and I was just 3 years too young.
66 was still a narrow 2-lane highway. Harry Truman was the man who ran the show. The bad Korean War was just beginning, and I was just 3 years too young to go. Country music hadn't gone to New York City yet, and the serviceman was proud of what he'd done. And Hank and Lefty crowded every jukebox Yes, they did. That's the way it was in 51. There's so much about the good old days I'd love to tell. And there's folks around I know still remember well. Slow dancing close together when a ballad played, 'cause a thing called rock and roll was yet to come. It was a big year for a drive-in restaurant car hop. Oh yeah, that's the way it was in 51. There's so much about the good old days I'd love to tell. And there's folks around I know still remember well. Slow dancing close together when a ballad played, 'cause a thing called rock and roll was yet to come. It was a big year for a drive-in restaurant car hop. Yes, it was. That's the way it was in 51. Yeah, Hank and Lefty crowded every jukebox. Yeah, they did. That's the way it was in 51.
There's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home. I raised a lot of cane back in my younger days.
There's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home. I raised a lot of cane back in my younger days, and Mama used to pray my crop would fail. Now I'm a wanted fugitive with just two ways: outrun the law or spend my life in jail. I'd like to settle down, but they won't let me. A fugitive must be a rolling stone. Every road there's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home. I'm lonely, but I can't afford the luxuries of having the one I love come along. She'd only slow me down and they'd catch up with me. For you travels fastest goes along. I'd like to settle down, but they won't let me. A fugitive must be a rolling stone. Down every road there's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home. I'm on the run, the highway is my home.
This old smoke-filled bar is something I'm not used to. But I gave up my home to see you satisfied. And I just called to let you know where I'll be living. This old smoke-filled bar is something I'm not used to. I gave up my home to see you satisfied. And I just called to let you know where I'll be living. It's not much, but I feel welcome here inside. 'Cause I've got swinging doors, a jukebox, and a bar stool. And my new home has a flashing neon sign. Stop by and see me anytime you want to. 'Cause I'm always here at home till closing time. Yes, I got everything I'll need to drive me crazy. And I got all I'll ever need to lose my mind. And in here the atmosphere is ripe for parties. And thanks to you, I'm only here till closing time. Yes, I've got swinging doors, a jukebox, and a bar stool. And my new home has a flashing neon sign. Stop by and see me anytime you want to. 'Cause I'm always here at home till closing time. Yes, I'm always here at home till closing time.
I don't think that I will be the first one that you'll see.
Friends, this is recording artist and DJ Peter Trenum from Nova Scotia. You've got my friend Johnny Woodlock here on the way back, where you'll find the very best in country music.
To be ever with the Lord, you and me.
Well, yes, friends, once again, it's that time in the program to pay tribute to Merle Haggard and two classics that are associated with farmers. Growing up, I was always raised around the farm. With that, it's going out especially to all the farmers listening in today. It's going to be a couple of farmer-themed songs, including first a song titled Farmer's Daughter. Then we'll follow with a song, yes, that I heard a lot of growing up, titled The Farmer's Blues. And this was recorded by Marty Stewart and Merle Haggard, and is a song that is really close to my childhood. With that, we will be back following this with the second half of our interview with Marty Haggard Haggard today. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
Tonight there'll be candlelight and roses in this little country chapel that's almost falling down. There'll be tears from this old farmer's eyes this evening when I give my one possession to that city boy in town. His hair's a little longer than we're used to, but I guess I should find something good to say about this man who's won the farmer's daughter and will soon become my son-in-law today. Mama left 8 years ago December, and it was hard to be a dad and mama too. But somehow we made a home of this old farmhouse, and love was all my baby ever knew. He could be the richest man in 7 counties and not be good enough to take her hand, but he swears he really loves the farmer's daughter, and I know the farmer's daughter loves the man.
Who'll buy my wheat? Who'll buy my corn to feed my babies when they're born? Seeds and dirt, a prayer for rain that I can use. I work the land, I watch the sky, I talk to God and wonder why, but it's the only life I know, these farmers' blues. I see the seasons come and go, sending rain, fire, and snow. I'm at the mercy of it all, this life I choose. Sometimes I hang my head and cry when that evening train goes by. Wish it could take me far away from these farmers' blues.
The tractor's old, the fence is down. Put on my suit and go to town. Ask for a loan, and I know well they might refuse. Back at home, still by my side, the one I love with worried eyes waits for me to love away these farmers' blues. I see the seasons come and go, sending rain, fire, and
snow. I'm at the mercy of it all, this life I choose. Sometimes I hang my head and cry as that evening train goes by. Wish it could take me far away from these farmer blues. Yodel boy, oh, holy, 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 holy.
What about it, Hag?
Farmer's Blues.
Back in the country where the roses still grow wild. Back in the country where you walk those country miles.
Hello, folks. This is Cody Norris of The Cody Norris Show, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on Way Back. Stay tuned for some of the finest music in today's world.
Back in the country, don't you wish that you had stayed?
Yes, friends, once again it's that time in the program to welcome a very special guest of honor onto the program this morning. With that, this will be the second half of the visit with Marty Haggard, the eldest son of Merle Haggard. Having been a keeper of the Haggard legacy in country music for some time now, it's a true honor to welcome Marty back to our program in this second half of this interview. Now, I would also like to thank Leona Williams for helping me get a hold of Marty, her stepson. And with that, we will follow this all-time interview with another all-time favorite by none other than Merle Haggard, and it'll be a classic from 1990s era titled In My Next Life. With that, here now is none other than the son of Merle Haggard, Marty Haggard. Back into your father's career, he had some amazing songs over the years, but one that really shines right about now is Fighting Side of Me. Would you share with us what you know about that song, Marty?
The actual original title for that song was The Ornery Side of Me. It didn't sound right. It didn't blow well. It was Lewis Talley, Dad's road manager, that pointed out to me. He said, "Bro, I don't know about that ornery side of me." He said, "It's a really good song." He said, "Why don't you change that from ornery to fight the side of me?" He listened to Louis' advice, changed it to fight the side of me. And, fight the side of me was nothing but a follow-up to Okie from Muskogee. Up to that point, before Okie come along, Dad had 13 straight #1 records. He was doing fine, but all of a sudden he got political. Okie from Muskogee, and obviously it became his biggest hit he ever had, and he become like he's like the leader of the pack for the red-blooded American, standing up for the soldiers. And, it wasn't in defense of the war, it was in defense of the soldier. And America just, what makes every family, God, country, and there was a lot of rebellion going on in the country at the time, and Dad kind of stood up and for what America stood up for, or stood for back in those days. And anyway, it caught on. But Fight Side of Me was a little bit more to the point.
Exactly.
It was more on the fringes of political stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fight Side of Me went straight to the heart of the matter, and it was a big hit too. I mean, But like you said earlier, that song applies to what's going on in the world, in this country, especially right now.
Yes, it does, even more so than it did back then, if I may say, yes.
Yeah, and so does, stop thinking, are the good times really over for good? I mean, that was in 1980, 81.
Yes.
And that definitely applies more now than it ever did back then. And it goes to show that the world was a mess even back then, just like it is now.
Exactly.
I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is everybody says things have gone to hell in a handbasket. I said, no, they were pretty much had already gone there way back then, too.
We just forget.
He didn't write those songs that goes cracking right along back then either.
Very true, Marty. Yes, I never thought of it, but yes, you're right. Yes. It just shows you how long it's been going downhill, and it just keeps on going. As he's saying, snowball headed for hell.
soon as Lucifer, Satan, the devil, as soon as his feet hit the soil in this realm that we live, the snowball down headed to hell started. And as long as Lucifer's still here, things are going to be just like the Bible says. It's like a snowball headed downhill to hell.
Yeah, for sure.
The good news, I know how this ends. We do win. As long as you understand Jesus, eventually Satan will get evicted. It'll be okay in the long run.
I was going to ask you what your thoughts on the legacy that your father's had in music is.
Well, his fans are just off the charts. I knew that since I started doing this little tribute show, people come, and I know more of the stories than anybody alive. I was there when he wrote and recorded all that stuff. And I was the one kid of all the kids he had. I was the only one he took on the road with him all those years. And
I see.
So I have a little more inside knowledge on the origins of all these songs and his career and his personal life. And one thing I found out since he died is I knew people liked him, but I didn't realize what a love affair people had with him and the influence he's had on people's families. And he's almost like an extended family member to a lot of people. And it was really eye-opening to me that I sort of wished he had an understanding of what a positive effect he had on people.
A lot of them that are like that never realize it for themselves.
Yeah, well, when he passed, boy, people, every show I do, people come, and it's obvious that he made a difference in people's lives. And good grief, that's pretty much all you can hope to do in your life, is to have a positive effect on other people.
Exactly.
It's going to be remembered, and by the heaven only knows how many there are out there, but I'm starting to realize there's a lot more than I realized.
So looking at music, like we've been talking about today, what song is your favorite?
Of Dad's?
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
I know that's a very tricky question to answer.
Well, it's like trying to pick your favorite kid.
Yes, I hear you.
All my kids equal.
Yeah.
Dad had, like I said, he had so many great songs. He had, a lot of people don't realize this, but Dad had 110 top 10 records.
Yes.
And 48 number one records, and some of his biggest records or most popular songs in the public's eyes, some of them songs were never even singles, like Silver Wings. Silver Wings was never a single, but it may be the most popular song he had. He had so many great songs, and to try to pick one
is hard
above the other. It's almost like I always tell, what's my dad's favorite song? Whichever one I'm listening to.
Exactly. Yes.
But the one song that I always enjoyed and loved was Mama's Hungry Eyes, and Shelley's Winter Love. He had so many. Every time I say one, then I'll think of another one. I say, no, I like this one the best. No, I like this one. And in other words, it's hard to pick the best when they're all the best.
That's right, exactly. For sure, I understand you there. Do you know anything about a song called In My Next Life?
Yes, I pitched that to my dad.
Did you? Yes?
I pitched that for Max D. Barnes.
Okay.
Max D. was the guy that wrote all the Vern Gosdin hits, like Chisel and Stone, and You're Gonna Do Me Wrong, Do It Right. He wrote Who's Gonna Fill Them Shoes for George Jones, and Look at Us with him and Vince Gill wrote. Some major big hits. But me and Max D. were really, really close friends, and I introduced Max to my dad one night in 1991.
Okay.
1991. Yes. I took Max to, he'd never met my dad. Dad was his hero, but he'd never met him. And Dad didn't even know who Max was. And Max was probably the most successful songwriter in Nashville at the time. But Dad, he didn't live in Nashville, so he didn't know. And but I knew Max loved Dad, and Max was my really good friend. And Dad was doing Nashville Now one night. And I was living in Nashville back then, and I never got to see Dad unless he'd come to Nashville to do something. And whenever he'd do Nashville Now, I'd go visit with him and hang out with him all day. But I called Max D. I said, "Hey, Max, my dad's going to be doing Nashville Now tonight. Won't you come with him and let me introduce you?" He goes, "Oh, cool." I said, "Hey, and by the way," I knew Max's catalog real well. I said, "You got 5 songs I want you to put on tape." He said, "No, I ain't doing that, man." He said, "I'm not pitching those songs to your dad the very first time I meet him." I said, "You ain't got to do it." I told him I named I Am an Island, In My Next Life, I Want to Be Your Hero, and I named 5 songs of Max's. I said, "Max, put those songs on a tape, and after you leave, I'll pitch them to my dad."
Of course,
and,
yes.
Anyway, I gave Dad that tape after I introduced him and Max. They visited, and they become like really, really, really good friends instantly. And in fact, they ended up having a relationship till Max passed away, really close. But after Max left that night, after we were done visiting, when he said, I got to get going, so he headed out. And after he was gone, I had that tape, and I pulled it out of my jacket, and I said, Dad, here's a tape of 5 songs. I said, I need you to listen to these songs. He was going to fly out the next day to go home. And Dad always respected my opinion on songs. He would always ask me what I thought about his songs when he wrote them. And he said I had a good ear for songs. So and I never had pitched him any songs. I never ever tried to pitch for anybody. So when I popped out this tape, there's 5 songs on here a friend of mine, Max D, wrote. You need to hear them. And he's like, really? Who's Max D? I said, that guy that just left here.
Exactly, yes.
He said, well, that guy's a songwriter? I said, Dad, you don't know who Max D. Barnes is? He's one of the best songwriters in town. Anyway, he said, I didn't know. Anyway, I said, you take this tape. He said, I'll listen to it on the way home. He was flying home on the Learjet.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it. And I really didn't expect him to listen to it. I figured I was going to have to call him later and remind him to listen to it. Apparently, he did listen to it when he got on that plane. He threw it in there, and as soon as that plane landed, he called me. He said, hey, who is this guy? He blankety-blank guy again? He said, this may be the best blankety-blank songwriter I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
I told you so, Dad. He said, this song, In My Next Life, I Want to Be Here. He said, that's a blankety-blank hit record, this stuff.
Yes.
I know, Dad. That's why I told him to put it on tape for you.
Exactly.
So that's where that song came from. I actually pitched that to my dad.
Amazing. Yes. Well, it's one of my all-time favorites of Merle's. Yeah.
Well, I was going to record it. I was doing an album, but I was, and that's how I met Max. Burns Gosden is the one that introduced me and Max to each other, and he called Max. He said, I'll bet he's got some songs, and I did. I ended up doing 3 or 4 of Max's songs on my album, but I wanted to do In My Next Life, I Want to Be a Hero. I knew Max had never had a Merle Haggard recording, and it was always a dream that Dad would record one of his songs. And I knew that song was just perfect for my dad. And I thought, well, dadgummit, as much as I want to record it, Max wants a record. Yeah, and I knew Dad was going to love the song.
Exactly.
I know him. I know his. And so I went ahead and took a bullet for the team. I'll go ahead and pitch it to my dad. But I was originally going to cut it myself, and I thought, no, that would fill a dream for Max D. So, yeah, I took the bullet. I wanted to cut it, and I knew it was a great song, but I also knew Dad was going to like it. Max D's dream was to have Dad cut a record.
Exactly. So, in wrapping up today, what song can I play for you following this interview, Marty, of your dad's or yours?
You know what? Since we're on the subject, let's do In My Next Life, I Want to Be Your Hero.
Sounds good. And we'll also dedicate this song in memory of my dad, because this was a very near and dear song to me over the years because of my father.
Well, we'll dedicate it to your dad. We'll dedicate it to my dad. Take Max T. Barnes, my buddy, and I just did a deal 2 weekends ago with his son, Max T. Barnes.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So for the 3 of them.
Yeah, his son wrote that song, Love Me, Love You, for Colin Ray.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Anyway, Max T. was my buddy. Max D. was my buddy. Dad was my buddy. Dedicate that song to all those guys.
For sure. And with that, Marty, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'd love to do it again maybe next year or sometime for his 90th.
Anytime you need me, Johnny, just give me a holler.
You have a good day. God bless you. Take care.
You too, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The blood-red sun beat down and baked the red clay ground, and dust kicked up around his John Deere wheels. No trace of rain in sight. Again he'll lose the fight and have to watch his crops die in the fields. They stood there, both in tears. His wife of many years said, John, you know, I hate to lose our farm. He looked into her eyes, then looked up at the sky, and told her as he held her in his arms, in my next life, I want to be your hero, something better than I turned out to be. the muscles in his arms, just like his rundown farm, soon withered up and slowly disappeared. One hard-working man, two hard-working hands were giving up after all these years. His aging eyes grew dim, and the lady that worshipped him sat crying on a chair beside his bed. Her hands caressed his brow. She said, "It's all right now." And as he slowly slipped away, he said, "In my next life, I want to be your hero, something better than I turned out to be. I've lived this life behind the plow and harrow, but in my next life, I'll make you proud of me. In my next life, I want to be your hero, something better than I turned out to be. I've lived this life behind the plow and harrow, but in my next life, I'll make you proud of me. In my next life, I'll make you proud of me."
Sandy Blower on the other side. Miles and miles of golden sand. Oh, and wildflowers grow back to the old.
Howdy y'all, this here is your old host with the most, Johnny Woodlock. I'd like to tell y'all about the upcoming 10th anniversary of the South Granville Bluegrass Festival happening from August 7th to the 10th, 2025 this coming summer. The headliners include, but are not limited to, some of the top bluegrass musicians of today, including much beloved Queen of Bluegrass, Rhonda Vincent, as well as Larry Stevenson Band, Larry Efaw, along with many more. Tickets can be purchased for the weekend for $110 in advance. That's before July 13th. Also, day passes are available, and it's going to be a great weekend had by all. For more information, contact Kim Wallace at 613-883-3126 or by visiting southgranvillebluegrassfestival.ca.
You were the one, but that was yes, we had Lovely Mountain home there every night. Is the grass any bluer on the other side?
Well now friends, it's once again that time in the program to pay tribute to the final song on today's program. With that mentioned, final song of the week will be the song that Merle Haggard recorded as his last song. Now during 2013, the year that Merle passed away, he spent the last few months of his life battling the battle of pneumonia. That finally came to the reason he passed away on April 6th of 2013. During those final months, Merle spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital, which caused him to cancel a few shows. When it was suggested that he not go back onto the road and rest at home, he did so, while also walking across the road to his studio to record a few pieces that he had written. This final song was titled Kern River Blues, which is about the memories of him leaving Bakersfield back in the 1970s. With that, I would like to play this as our final selection of today's program, and we will be back following this Send Us All Home. This one's for you, Merle. We still miss you.
Well, I'm leaving town tomorrow. I get my breakfast in the sky. Well, I'm leaving in the early morning. Eat my breakfast in the sky. Be a donut on a paper. Drink my coffee on the fly. 'Cause I'm flying out on a jet plane. Gonna leave this town behind. I'm flying out on a jet plane, gonna leave this town
behind. They done moved the city limit out by the county line. Put my head up to the window, watch the city fade away. Put my head close to the window, watch Oildale fade away. Now the blues back in the 30s, and just like the blues today. There used to be a river here, running deep and wide. Well, we used to have Kern River, running deep and wide. Then somebody stole the water, another politician lied. When you close down all the honky tonks, the city died at night. When you close down all the honky tonks, the city died at night. When it hurts somebody's feelings, well, a wrong ain't never right. Norman, play the steel. I'm leaving town forever, kissing old boxcar goodbye. Well, I'm leaving town forever, kissing old boxcar goodbye. I dumped my blues down in the river, but the old Kern River's dry.
Well, yes, friends, it's once again that time in the program to send us all home today. I would like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in via the Way Back with Johnny program here on CFRC 119 FM and also OshawaRocks.com. With that, I would also like to thank you, my loyal listeners, for tuning into the program once again and celebrating the memories and musical legacy of none other than the mighty hag of country music, Merle Haggard, with me today. Yes, I would also like to thank my loyal guests and dear friends, Leona Williams and Marty Haggard, for their contribution and memories this week. I'd also like to mention that Merle has been gone almost 10 years now, having passed away on this very date, April 6th of 2016. That's 9 years ago, at the age of 79. Now, it is ironic how he was born and passed away on the same date, 79 years apart. With that, I would like to pay tribute to Merle Haggard once more with a tribute song that Vince Gill sang about him, titled A World Without Haggard. And yes, even though he's been gone almost 10 years, many people are still discovering his music yearly and daily. Now, hopefully I've been able to bring some justice and respect to the Merle Haggard story. Today I would also like to share that we will be back next weekend as we pay tribute to a lot of vinyl records, as next Saturday is Vinyl Record Store Day in Canada and North America. So we will be paying tribute to vinyl records. Also, I would like like to say that we will be back next weekend from 8 to 11 over CFRC 101.9 FM and also throughout the week on OshaRocks.com. Today with a song by Vince Gill will send us all home, and then we'll follow that with a song by the legendary Merle Haggard himself once more, and a song titled Cabin in the Hills. With that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy week, and may God bless each and every one of you till we meet again.
I was on the road in Georgia when I heard Merle had passed away. Hell, I thought he'd live forever. He shaped every note I played. Tonight these old white lines look different than they usually do. It was my greatest inspiration, the reason why I sang the blues. He taught me how to play the guitar and write a country song. Spent time in San Quentin for the things that he done wrong. It made me proud to be an Okie, and God knows we paid our dues. He was my greatest inspiration, why I sang the blues. Oh, I'm lost in a world without Haggard. Oh, tell the truth to you and me. It's a world I thought I would never see. Been honest voice of reason, like we won't see again. If I could hear one last song, it's Merle that I would choose. Was my greatest inspiration, the reason why I sang the blues. It was my greatest inspiration, the reason sing the blues.
I dreamed I saw Jesus last night, seated on a mountain in the moonlight. His hands held a key to a cabin, that cabin I dreamed of all my life. Money makes the rules we have to live by. A home is just a place they send the bills. God knows why we work and what we pray for. So he's building me a cabin in the hills. Who knows, he might be finished in the morning. So I lie awake and take no sleeping pills. God knows I'm not happy in a mansion, so he's building me a cabin in the hills. I live my lonesome life down in a valley, with the factories, the rivers and the mills. Sometimes I can almost hear his hammer, 'cause he's building me a cabin in the hills. Someone has to keep the home fire burning, so I sweat and get the harvest in the field. Life on earth won't be the same hereafter, so he's building me a cabin in the hills. I live my lonesome life down in a valley, with the factory, the rivers and the mills. Sometimes I can almost hear his hammer, 'cause he's building me a cabin in the hills. Building me a cabin in the hills.
I just didn't even think about ever being a star, as you would call it. I never set up in search of anything except a job.
Another show is over, another day gone by, with good friends all around me. How the time do fly.
Howdy friends and listeners, this here is your old host with most, Johnny Woodlock, reporting for Way Back with Johnny over this great channel. The previous show does not represent anything associated with the channel heard on. It is the sole associate of Woodlock Ranch Studios, Cornwall, Ontario. With that, have a great day and we'll catch y'all next week. So long friends.
We share a few old songs, memories on my mind. Yes, I know we'll meet again, my friend, somewhere down